Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something really cool inside VMware ESXi. It's a clever bit of text that lets you get powerful, flexible storage for your virtual machines, but without having to buy a bunch of expensive, specialized hardware. So let's just dive right in.
This is the big question for so many of us in IT, isn't it? You've got this amazing virtual setup, but to really make it sing, you need shared storage. Then you look at the price tag for all that dedicated gear and, well, your budget just runs for the hills. So what are you supposed to do?
And that question really gets to the heart of the matter. It's this classic dilemma, right? On one side, you need all these advanced features to do your job well. But on the other, you've got the cold, hard reality of your budget. It's the tightrope that pretty much every sysadmin has to walk.
Look, let's be clear. Shared storage isn't some nice-to-have luxury. It's absolutely essential. It's the magic that makes game-changing features like vMotion, high availability, and DRS possible. The stuff that keeps your whole environment running smoothly. But the old-school way of doing it, buying dedicated hardware like Fibre Channel or iSCSI cards, well, that just adds a ton of cost and another complicated thing to manage.
But what if you could just sidestep that whole hardware problem? What if the answer was already built right into the tools you use every single day? Well, that's exactly where this powerful software-based approach comes into play. It basically turns the network you already have into your storage network.
And this is it, folks, the VMware Software ISCI adapter. Now, the most important thing to get here is that this is a built-in part of the ESXi kernel. It's not something you have to buy or install. It's already there, baked right into the core of your ESXi host, just waiting for you to turn it on. And it lets your server talk to ISCI storage using the normal, everyday network cards you already own.
This is probably my favorite way to think about it. The adapter's whole job is to be a translator. It takes all that storage-specific language, these things called SCSI commands, and it translates them into the language the whole world understands, TCP/IP. Then it just wraps them up and sends them out over your regular Ethernet network. Simple as that.
So let's break down what this thing really is. First, it's 100% software living deep inside the VM kernel. Second, and this is the genius part, it uses the standard network cards, the NICs, that you've already paid for. Third, and this is a big one, we're definitely coming back to this, all that translation work eats up a little bit of your host's CPU power. And finally, you manage the whole shebang right from the same vSphere interface you're already comfortable with.
So, how does this magic actually happen? It's not like you just flip a switch and poof, it works. There's a really clear, logical process to get it all hooked up. So let's just walk through that process step by step.
Okay, so the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you just go into your host settings and enable the adapter. Then, and pay attention to this part, it's super important, you do something called network binding. You're basically telling the adapter exactly which network ports to use for all its storage traffic. After that, it goes out on the network and finds your iSCSI storage targets. And bam, the final step. It shows you that storage, those LUNs, so you can format them as data stores and start using them.
I really want to hammer this point home because network binding is absolutely critical. You can't just gloss over this. By binding that software adapter to specific VM kernel ports, you're essentially building a dedicated HOV lane on your network highway just for storage. This is so important for getting good performance and, maybe even more importantly, for setting up multipathing, which gives your storage more than one road to get to its destination. That's key for reliability.
All right, so this all sounds incredible, right? Free, powerful, built-in storage connectivity. What's the catch? Because in the world of tech, there's always a trade-off. There is a cost to using this adapter. It's just not one you're going to see on an invoice.
And there it is. Remember our universal translator? Well, all that translating, it takes brain power. And in this case, it's your host server CPU that has to do all the work. Every single time a storage command goes out or comes in, the CPU has to spend a few cycles to process it. That's the trade-off. That's the price of admission for not using a dedicated hardware card to do the job for you.
In this slide, this really lays out the balancing act you have to do. On the pros side, the cost is way lower. It's super flexible, and you're getting more value out of hardware you already own. But on the cons side, you've got that CPU usage. That also means your storage performance is kind of tied to how busy your CPUs are. And like we just talked about, you really have to set up your network carefully to make it work right.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second. Because this little software adapter, it's more than just a neat feature. It's actually a huge clue. It's a signpost pointing to a massive shift that's happening across the entire IT industry, and it's changing how we think about building data centers.
So why should you care about any of this?
Well, first off, it levels the playing field.
It gives smaller companies, or maybe just your home lab, access to enterprise-level storage features without needing an enterprise-level budget. Second, it's a textbook example of the software-defined data center, where all the intelligence moves out of the hardware and into the software. And that leads to the biggest point of all. This is proof of the unstoppable trend of smart software making expensive, single-purpose hardware a thing of the past.
Which brings us to the big, final question I want to leave you with. The software iSCSI adapter made hardware HBAs less necessary. We've watched software-defined networking and storage become totally mainstream. So the real question is, as software keeps getting smarter and more powerful, what specialized, expensive piece of hardware is on the chopping block next?